ass and the legs and the motherfucking head. Yo, I'm making out with your pussy. I said I'm barking and sucking it and fucking it and working it and popping my hand up in your motherfucking body. Then I'm here, baby, while I'm sucking on and making out with your whole body. I'm tweaking on your body, tweaking on your nipples, baby. Yo, it's hotter than I anticipated. It's getting better all the time now. You make me tingle, make me sweat, baby. Make me do it, make me you're the best. I'ma tell you how to
work it, baby, harder, faster, slower, bigger, faster, slower. Now I do it wider, up or down or lower, baby. You know I'm gonna fuck you, I'm gonna.
I can't. Oh my gosh. This quarantine shit is outrageous. Yo, and hello, it's me. Just call me T Marie, and welcome to yet another episode of PCPOV. Welcome to the. I don't even want to call it the quarantine edition. I really and truly don't. I just know that everybody is told to stay their ass at home. So I've been at home. I mean, I went out a couple of times. Like, I went to a wedding on Saturday, or supposed to go to a wedding on Saturday. Funny story. Um, I went and did live on Broadway podcast on Monday. Shout out to Broadway. I also went and did my nails the other day because a bitch broke 4 of them and was in here looking and feeling so rough. So I had to go and get these touched up. Thank God, like I said on Facebook, thank God my nail lady is Jamaican because, the Rona ain't got nothing on the Dettol. So, I definitely had to go out and get these touched up so I could feel like myself and not go all the way crazy in the house. What's been going on? What happened? Um, what happened was I decided this week that I was gonna stop calling myself argumentative. I said it on the last episode. Oops, excuse me. I said it on the last episode and I realized, you know what? I gotta start doing better. I gotta do better. I have to speak better about myself. And although I know the truth in me being argumentative, I need to take, the corporate role and the corporate route more so and, rebrand it. Because, a lot of times you look at, for instance, job descriptions. Like through all of this, I've just been looking at online jobs and stuff like that. I haven't really been out doing any field tech work in all of this corona madness. So I was like, you know what, let me see what's out there. And you get to a certain point where, you read enough job descriptions, you kind of know what their codes are. Like, for instance, if they say they're looking for a team player or somebody who's results oriented, that's just code for like the shit that they lack at that job that they want you to come in and kind of like be a superhero and fix and certain things like that. So I was like, listen, if it could work for job descriptions, this shit, it could work for me. So rather than be, argumentative, I gotta find me a nice, SAT word or something that means the same thing, but it just sounds better when people hear it. It makes them feel, a little bit better. So we gonna work on that. That's if you got a word that I could use that I might not be thinking of off the top of my head, feel free to let me know what I could say that's gonna mean the same thing as argumentative, but just not sound like so negative with the connotation. Because it's not like I'm arguing just for the sake of arguing. It just means that, I'm very passionate about things and I stand 10 toes down on it if that's how I really feel. Like, for instance, I had an argument, quote unquote, because I don't really want to call it an argument, but I did not know that plants had fat. And it's like, I really was like, yeah, I bought this plant butter. It's supposed to be zero fat, no fat, low fat, whatever the fuck it was supposed to be. And I got into an argument about, yeah, well, it says no fat, so it can't be no fat. And they was like, no, but it is a fat. For it to be butter, it got to be a fat. So it was this whole big argument back and forth just for me to Google that the seeds of these things is where the fat is stored. because that's the energy it takes to, get the leaves to push through the dirt and blah, blah, blah. So I went on a whole Google rabbit hole just to understand how plants got fat. And needless to say, I was ready to argue that my butter was fat free, but I was swayed. My mind was changed. I feel differently now about it. So fuck it. I can be proven wrong. Sue me. But I'm just saying, I be needing to see the evidence sometimes. That's all. Like, it didn't make no sense to me. How does plants have fat? You feel like fat cells is only on. Never mind. I'm not about to argue with myself about this. This is what we not going to. So yeah, moving right along to what had happened was. What had happened was Ari and Alexis Sky, was booked to do a joint hosting, which whoever the promoter was for that party, you ought to have your ass either beat or you need a raise. Because I don't know if that's the most brilliant thing to do or if that was the most stupidest thing to do. These women have been beefing on Twitter. I don't know from whence the beef started or came. I just know that, by the time it got to Instagram, the who wore it betters, started popping up out of everywhere. The comparisons to each lady, was being made at an exponential rate because it was a lot of comparisons. It just was a lot to go on, and for them to have been talking so spicy online when they seen each other in person, it wasn't the same sentiment. Like, they was yelling on the mic at each other, but they definitely didn't leave their sections, which makes me feel like maybe that's just the new, way to do things nowadays. It's like these promoters just got the bright idea to invite these two women who hate each other online to the same club and give everybody a show, like a actual live tweet, but like a live screaming match, because that's essentially what it was. Like, that was like a verbal boxing match, so to speak, a verbal sparring. Well, no, I can't disrespect the debate team like that. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because they literally was just yelling at one another. Like, I barely heard what either woman said about the other. It was just a lot of noise. But even still, I digress. I wish I knew what they was beefing about. I wish I cared to like really go and look to find out like, well, where did this really start? It doesn't matter to me, honestly, because at the end of the day, like, y'all both get paid to do the exact same thing. Y'all date rappers, y'all look pretty on Instagram, and y'all shout out Fashion Nova. Like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, y'all both have been doing it, so just both continue to do it. You don't have to like or dislike one another, which, by the way, I did see a few things where people were saying that they were cool at one point, like smacking each other's asses, and bad girls link up and all of that stuff. So I don't know. This is a crazy world we're living in now. I'm just here observing and trying to make sense of some of the apparent nonsense, which I say I'm gonna stop doing, but for some reason I just can't. So we're here now. This is how we got here. Me trying to make sense of nonsense is how we got here. But anyway, what else had happened? What else had happened is, with all of this corona stuff going on, we all have a stay at home, or so, what is it? Stay in place, or whatever the fuck it's called. Basically, quarantine, social distancing is the overall term. But they have all of these other little terms. And they done cancel people's schools, they done canceled people's graduations, they've done canceled concerts, festivals, all types of shit is just getting canceled left and right. I had to cancel my brunch. I told you about that last week. Just putting a huge halt on life, and it sucks. Shit, not to mention freaking Keri Hilson, her crazy ass ends up trending on Twitter talking about some coronavirus is a result of 5G networks, and just like yo the amount of conspiracy theories that has come out, like, some of them is like make you raise an eyebrow, like that might be some shit, but some of it is just the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, what in the How could 5G? I can understand if niggas say, 5G is gonna cause cancer because it's gonna, need more cell towers, and we don't need our internet to go any faster than it already does. Like, blah blah, like all of that stuff. Like, I can understand that, but to say that 5G created a virus, ridiculous. Like ridiculous. I've never heard nothing crazier in my life. Cause she sounds like I haven't heard Keri Hilson's name in years. Year. The time that I used to work at Barney's Co-op in Chelsea, and they freaking Keri Hilson comes in and like is buying mad shoes, but they were all on sale, and it was like people was trying to clown her, and I was like, no, this chick is a genius. Like, if she's celebrity status and she's doing that, well, with no security, she ain't have nobody with her. Like, she was literally just in there buying all the lubes, all the Dior's, like all of that, but at like a stupid discount. I was like, oh, that's the smartest shit I've ever seen. Like, for a celebrity to do that. Like, I understand, black girls who do shit like that, because I done seen a few of y'all in there too, buying them off-color designers, off-season. Listen, I ain't mad at you. I was tempted. They just ain't never paid me enough when I worked there to get the discount. But retail days were fun, but they were a pain in the ass the way they treat some of them people. And it's funny that, now to say that, to tie everything back into everything with this corona shit going on, a lot of those people that you tried to say don't deserve a living wage, they don't deserve 15 hours, those are the motherfuckers holding it down. Food delivery people, niggas that work in kitchens, people who's doing these food orders for, all the people who, couldn't buy up all the meats in the supermarket, and now you ordering Popeyes or for Uber Eats and shit. Those people are still at work. They are still making them chicken sandwiches. Niggas is still flipping them burgers at McDonald's. So let this be a lesson to everybody. Everybody plays their part. Everybody. Because your ass ain't out there delivering nobody's food while they quarantine and chilling. So you better thank them motherfuckers and leave them tips. And that's that on that. What else had happened? Speaking of, because I gotta add this in there, Idris Elba is now added to the list of celebrities who have the coronavirus. He joins Tom Hanks, Tom's wife, those two basketball players from the Jazz, the one who had it and then the one who rubbed on the other one's head and gave it to him. I think KD said he had it. Just listen. I don't know if these niggas got it for real or if they just lying or whatever the case may be. I mean, because they live that life of traveling from country to country, state to state, touching people, meeting people, and all of that. So it would make sense. But we gonna see. I just want to know when this is supposed to be all said and done. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, they done closed schools and shit until 4/20. They done cancel people's, graduations and all types of stuff. So when do they see this ending? Like, what is the foreseeable future supposed to look like? People just not gonna be able to come back outside? Like, what's gonna happen? Summer 2010, was supposed to be lit. What happened? It's not looking like that. And we only still in March. They got us scared. We befuddled, beloved. For real, because this don't make no sense. Like, I don't mind chilling in the house if y'all could say, like, yeah, give it until May 5th or give it until Labor Day. I mean, not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Like, give us a definite time of, like, what y'all gonna do and what can be done, and let's go from there. But just telling people, yeah, as of right now, just stay from home or stay at home and work from home. Nigga, what? And then everybody posting about the military coming to town. I don't know if those videos is live or if they, old and they just resurfacing. Like, I don't know. We don't know what to believe. It's just a mess. That just made me sad. What the hell is on this list? I haven't talked about on this list. So fuck being sad. Let me get mad for a little bit. Tori Spelling, sweetheart, you another one that we haven't been checking for in a little bit of time. Your McQuisha tweet with your daughter with her Cheeto nails and all of that, that wasn't even cute. Like, let's just start there. I don't know what people's obsession with black voice or black name or black, let's play black, like dress up black. Like, I don't get what that obsession is. Like, I really and truly don't. Like, you don't see a bunch of well, I can't tell that lie. I mean, it's just when you're a celebrity, some things you just don't have to do. You didn't have to post that. Like, you could have just posted, "Oh, me and my daughter played dress up with her Cheetos nails." Like, the McQuisha did not need to be added to make that any more cute or adorable or relatable or lovable. Yes, we probably would have joked that that's what you were calling it behind closed doors, but you did not have to offer that to us. Let us joke about it. You don't joke about it. How about that? Like, how about you dress her up like that and then let us be like, look at Bon Kui. Like, let us do that. But like, everything ain't for everybody, and that ain't for y'all. Like, like, I don't understand. It's just like, I be trying to figure out, like, well, how could she have done that better? Or how could she have done that the same exact way and then people just not care or people not take it the wrong way? Because everything can be taken the wrong way. We have seen this time and time and time again. The internet shows us that everything, no matter how good the intention may be, it can and will be taken in the wrong context. However, when you provide said context, you open yourself up for the backlash. Like, I just don't even understand. Like, and then McQuisha, really? Like, oh, why? This wasn't even necessary. The little girl had, where's this damn picture? And I'm really about to just Google Tori Spelling McQuisha, because that's all I could think of. Because I really need to look at this. She gave her a green bandana for hair and then gave her Cheetos wrapped around her fingers as nails. Days kept inside. We have to get creative. Hattie has become McQuisha in her Cheeto extension nails. Like, that just why was that necessary? Why was that necessary? Why? I just you gotta laugh to keep from getting annoyed. Like, I just don't understand what the purpose was. Racism takes no days off, even when during a pandemic. Why did you think this was okay? Let me guess. Ignorant, and you're so sorry. You're a racist who tried to be comedic in this time, especially. Like, yo, people be wanting to get mad. Like, they want to get mad. And it's okay to give them shit to be mad about, but let it be with good reason. Like Lizzo giving people her ass to kiss in that shirt dress thing. That's a reason to be like, be mad, ho. I don't care. I mean, even though she cried and, backtracked and all of that, but still, like, that would have been a appropriate, I don't care, I'm doing me. But this McQuisha, bitch, that was not even remotely funny. Like, not even a little bit. She made up that name Mick because her last name is McDermott. She was reenacting the over-the-top, fun, and amazing character from Martin. She is innocent and didn't mean anything by it. I should have thought about how it could have been perceived and misconstrued before I posted. I did not. I'm truly sorry. Bitch, shut up. Oh my gosh. I she just looks dumb. I don't mean to laugh at a little girl. Like, I don't mean to laugh at a little kid. Oh, God forgive me, because that's not nice. But it just looks stupid. Like, it just looks dumb. I mean, first of all, where did you even find a forest green bandana? Like, where did you get that from? It had to be at Walmart. Like, you had to go to Walmart and just picked up a bunch of random shit, as we all go to Walmart and do. But McQuisha just was in such poor taste. And then it don't help that Tori Spelling looks like one of the... Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. Lord forgive me. Let me move on before I get mean. In other white girl news, Amanda Barnes... Why did I put Barnes? Byroness? I just be typing in my notes. I don't even really be keeping, the correct... I just type because it's in my brain, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to figure out what that means later. I'm going to get it right. But this says Amanda Barnes Prego when it's supposed to be Amanda Bynes. And, the nostalgia is heavy in this one because I was a Nickelodeon kid. I grew up on all that. I grew up on, the Amanda Bynes show. It was very sad to see her, like, go through all of the different shit that she went through, mental health and the in and out, all of that shit. At one point, she was on the cover of, I believe it was Paper Magazine, and she seemed to have been doing really well. Like, she looked great. She talked about rehab. She talked about recovery. She talked about, her new road to, sober living and all of that good shit. But then I see her now talking about she's pregnant, and I think she went and tattooed a heart on her face, and, like, she's dating some scruffy white guy who I don't believe is very familiar, but it was just all a little questionable. And then, she posted the tweet or the Instagram post about her being pregnant and then deleted it. So, like, I don't know what's going on. I like my white faves to do well, like Amanda Bynes, Rachel McAdams, Anna Kendrick from Pitch Perfect. Like, I have a few white girl faves, and I like when they keep themselves unproblematic and out of trouble, and they just do their thing. They pop up, they give you something cute, and like, oh, that was that. I like that, and then they go back, to whatever fairy tale they live in or whatnot. But I just I hope that if she is pregnant, she does well, and her relationship holds up, and the kid gets to grow up to be happy, healthy, and of course I will say that. But in the meantime, if not, all prayers and thoughts and everything go out to her, cause that face tattoo was a little worrisome. So maybe one day I'll go down the Amanda Bynes Google rabbit hole and catch up and see what she been up to and what she been doing. Because it just came out of nowhere. It was just so random. Because I'm like, damn, because I know she got to be older than me, or maybe around the same age. Maybe she's like 33. How old is Amanda Bynes? Let me just look. Instead of sitting here making shit up, let me Google it. Because you want to have the answers. Yep, that tattoo looks very permanent. I just... And she's 33. Ooh, Lord. She's an Aries, too. April 3rd. Good grief. Girl. This is not very Aries. Like, well, it might be. It's weird. Motherfucker. Oh, wow. She has a degree in... But she has a fashion degree. Okay. But yeah, this is her paper. Her paper. Yeah, she just looks so good. What year was this? Yeah, 2019. This was last year. Yeah, she just looked so good. She was all, skinny and healthy. Her skin looked great. And now she looks like she got a face tattoo. She's the man. I remember that. Hairspray. She was hilarious in Hairspray. Charlotte's Web too. I don't remember that. What a Girl Wants, 2003. Goodness gracious. 2003. My God. 17 years ago. Ugh. I am, ugh. Oh my god. 17 years? Shitting me. Oh my god, I can't deal with this right now. Looking at her filmography and all this, I can't. Like, but even still, like I said, I hope that, all goes well. I'll be definitely keeping an eye out for updates on that. Like I said, she's another one I might go down a Google rabbit hole over, find out what the haps are. What has she been up to? And I think on that note, I don't really have anything else on what had happened. So I'm gonna go ahead and take me a little break. Okay, and I am back. I had to go make me peanut butter and jelly because I was starving, like literally starving. I feel like because my body knows, or like my brain knows that there's mad food in the house, my body is like, you're always hungry, you're starving, go eat something right the fuck now. Like, I noticed that shit yesterday, like going through all of my snacks. I was like, bitch, you need to chill out. Like, it's only Saturday. Like, you still got all of Sunday to make it through. Relax. Like, I'm so tempted to go eat me some fruit snacks now that I've eaten not one but two peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I'm just like, nah, I need to chill out. And I almost rationalized going and eating a Nutri-Grain bar, but I'm like, for what? You just ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, this is rough. Like, I don't know how y'all are dealing. Oh, excuse me. I don't know how y'all are dealing with cabin fever, if you can even call it cabin fever. But I've been outside like a couple of times. I told y'all that, but we're not gonna. Let me stop. So yeah, where was I? What is the question of the day? Let me find my notes because I got distracted. Question of the day. Oh, I was about to say founders. Favors. How much is too much? Okay. Full transparency, right? So this wedding that I went to, it was in Long Island. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it. It was in Long Island. Um, and things didn't go the way that I originally planned. So what ended up happening was I went to a local bar, got really really drunk on some big ass Jack and Gingers. Shout out to White Tina, my bartender. She made them shits super good, super strong, and I had about 3 or 4 of them bitches. And I was a little tipsy. I called, a certain somebody and was like, yo, don't even come all the way out to Long Island. Meet me in Queens and we could chill. That turned out to be like the biggest thing ever. Like, that's the most egregious thing. How could I ask someone to come out and do that and drive and all of this corona-ness to come pick my drunk ass up from Queens? And it just was like, I didn't know that was that big of an ask. Like, I'm thinking, it's right over the Whitestone, like right there. Come right to Jamaica, whatever, and meet me at the LIRR train station. And I didn't really think that it was gonna be that big of a deal, but it turned out to be like a whole thing. And so it made me realize, like, when you ask people for favors, does the ask matter? Like, how can I put this? Because I'm still trying to like make it make sense in my head, right? Like, for instance, with me, if anyone ever asks me for a favor, I think of a few different things. Like, what does it cost me is always my number one thing. What does it cost me? Is it gonna cost me money? Is it gonna cost me time? Is it gonna cost me, the truth? Because a lot of times, people ask for favors that, you may not necessarily want to do, but you'll do it, and in the back of your mind, you be like, I really ain't want to do this shit, but because they my friend, or because they looked out before, or because they blah blah, whatever the situation may be, you make up a reason why, and that truth in it of you maybe not wanting to do it, like that cost can be a little or it could be a lot. But it always comes down to like, well, what does it cost? And I feel the same way when I make asks or requests of favors. It's like, what does this favor cost someone? In that instance, on, the day of the wedding, to me, it just would have cost that person maybe a half an hour, 20 minutes of their time. Look, half an hour, 45 minutes of their time, and some gas money. And to me, that didn't seem like that high of a cost. So when I got told no, I was I was more than a little annoyed, but I'm gonna say I was a little annoyed to keep it cute. But it just made me think about that, because then it also goes to the situation of, well, how do people equate, you know I want to say, like, how do people equate favors? And I don't know why I'm struggling to get this out, because it's something that I've thought about on so many different occasions. Like, I really and truly couldn't even tell you how many times this goes through my head. Because, for instance, I want to say, sometime last year, there was somebody who I was working with. I thought we were working together. I don't know what the situation was now that I look back on it, but it was somebody who I was acquainted with. And this person and I, we had a somewhat of a associate ship. Because I wouldn't really say that we were friends, because we never really like got to that level just yet. But we were cool. Like, there was no beef, there was no issues. We would call, talk. Well, they would call me, and I would answer. But to me, that's just as good as me calling somebody that, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not even gonna get into that. But either way, I digress. This person and I had an understanding to where they would do one thing and I would do something else. And as time went on and as time progressed, I started realizing that that agreement was not being held up. I was always showing up for this person, whenever they needed me to be somewhere to support or, show love or whatever, I was there. But every time I did the same, that person either didn't answer my phone calls, didn't answer my texts, didn't show up, forgot, whatever the case may be. And so when shit hit the fan and things, came to a head, and this person wanted to turn around and say, well, all I know how to do is XYZ, all I blah, blah, blah. It was like, hold on, bitch. Like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, if we really want to go down the line, we can go down the line. I have the invoices, the receipts, and all of that. But it just didn't feel like it needed to get to that point. And so I really had to sit with that and be like, well, how did this person view our, agreement versus how I viewed the agreement? And what you realize a lot of times is that people don't see things the same way that you do. Like, for instance, for me to get up out my house to come be in your audience, to be your social commentary on the side, to be, your picture taker and all of that shit, it doesn't cost me a lot, but I also didn't have to spend that on you, because I did not owe that to you. And I think that is just the way that I look at it. The other person, I'm pretty sure they looked at it like, oh, I'm giving this bitch an opportunity. I'm having her around all of these people. I'm doing all of these great things, and I have her in the folds. And my blessings will rub off and be her blessings and blah blah blah. And to me, that's great too. But one does not negate the other. One isn't more important than the other. Exposure is just as important as support, in my eyes. Just like with the ride, like, yeah, granted, it would have cost that person some gas and some ride, but what I offer to that particular person, I think costs more than 30 minutes and some fucking gas. But we not gonna go there. We not gonna go there. But I'm just saying, it's just one of those things that it constantly keeps coming up. That, what you do for somebody, they might not see it the same way as you do. They might not think of it the same way. They might not appreciate it the same way that you do. Like, let me see. What's another instance? What's another instance? Cuz I don't know if I'm making it all make sense. All right, so boom, right? Thinking about reality TV shows, and because that was another argument that I got into with somebody about how reality TV ain't real. And it's like, yeah, I know it's not real, but it is based in real things. It's just taken to the extreme. But that's a conversation for another day. So, on Love and Hip Hop, I believe it is Atlanta. They have Alexis Sky, Carly Red, and this nigga named Mo. Apparently, Mo and Alexis used to deal. Something happened where Mo was supposed to do a favor for Alexis. It ends up falling through. Carly gets in her, that's my man bag, and she decides to come at Alexis Scott. I don't know. Now that I say that out loud, that has nothing to do with what I want to talk about. So that's a horrible example. That's a horrible. Why did I write that? Why the fuck did I write that? I don't know. Okay. I forgot what I was going with that. But real life instances just favors. This happens a lot. Like, this is why I need PCPOV, because I need to get all of this shit out of my head and make it make sense. Like, I need to get it and organize it and listen to it and really understand like what these thoughts are. I just know that when it comes to asking favors, or when it comes to doing favors, cost is definitely at the top of the list. And I said that already, and now I feel like I'm repeating myself. So because I am a Google fanatic, I just had to Google doing favors for friends, because I didn't really know. Well, I knew what I wanted to say, right? But because a lot of things are still, fresh, a lot of things haven't been discussed with the people involved, I'm taking the time to be very careful in how I say things, because I don't ever want for anybody to feel like I don't talk to them. I rather talk to strangers or talk to other people about shit. But these are situations that have happened to me, and this is how I see it from my POV. So let me put that disclaimer out there, because both individuals, both the person who, I was talking about with the ride, and the person with the, favor back and forth, I still have words for both of those people. Like, let me be very clear. I still have words for both of those people. Some nicer than others. But I want to be very, not PC, but I want to be very careful in how I maneuver, because I know that my words can be very, very harsh, and me finding the right words tends to take a lot of time, and sometimes, it's not the right time to say things how I want to say it, when I want to say it. So yeah, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes time. In one instance, it's been about almost a year, and in another instance, it's been like a week. So like, let that marinate. But yet and still, I Googled doing favors for friends, and a few different things come up. One is toxic friends take more than they give. Another is 4 ways to identify fake friends who add no value to your life. And then the third one, third's the charm, is the 5 golden rules of favor asking. So I'm going to open that one and see what that one says. Because this is something, like I said, it really does. It's a checklist. Like, how much is this going to cost? Check. What is the likelihood of this particular person saying yes? Because that's a major thing for me too. Like, if your likelihood of not saying yes is gonna, if your likelihood of saying yes is too low for me, then I'm not even gonna ask. Because I'm somebody who I cannot stand to be told no. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there right now. I do not like to hear no. Do I hear it? Yes. Does it annoy me? Yes. Point blank, period. Like, people always say, oh, you gotta get used to hearing no. No, the fuck I don't. Because if I maneuver in a way to where what I'm asking is not too much of people, I should never hear no. And that could just be my only child, my only child peeking out real quick, because, as an only child, there was nobody that I had to share really much anything with. So anytime I asked for something, it was just me, 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 me. So yeah, I might be having to work through that. Maybe, maybe not. But all I'm saying is, if you position your ask in a way to which, the person doesn't say no, then you don't ever have to worry about hearing no. And then also, with prayer and meditation and manifestation and all of those great things, you put yourself in alignment. You put yourself in a position to where everything you ask for, you get, because that is in true alignment of your purpose, your passion, and what it is that you're here to do. So I believe in that too. Like, I ask God to put me on the path of least resistance. And being put on a path of least resistance means that you won't not hear no. You just won't hear no as often. And that's how you kind of gauge, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. The more I hear yes, the more things, you know, gravitate to me, the more blessings I receive, the more, I tend to move and shake in a certain type of way. I know that that means that God is preparing that path for me. And so I don't have to worry about hearing no, because if I hear no, then that's just the redirection to where my yes is. So before I go on any further of a rant, let me go through it. So it says, my friend Elisa asked me to help her move. Moving is my least favorite activity, but I gladly help to agree. Like I said, you may not want to do it, but you say yes. Why? Because she followed the golden rules of asking for favors. If you want people to do you favors, or more importantly, feel good about doing you favors, make sure you follow these rules. So, rule number one is your benefit must greatly outweigh my inconvenience. That's that cost shit. Your benefit must greatly outweigh my inconvenience. If you're asking me for a favor, it should be something that I am particularly good at or well suited for. If a friend of mine asks me to help him set up a blog, I'm happy to do it because it's something I have experience with and I'm good at. What could take my friend 5 hours to set up might take me 30. The same goes for favors when I'm in the right place at the right time. Even if I don't have the specific skills for the job. If a friend asks me to pick up some bananas while I'm at Whole Foods, I'm happy to do it. If he asks me to pick up bananas while I'm home in the middle of something, that's a ridiculous request. So yeah, that's pretty on target. What's rule number two? Rule number two is you should make it as easy as possible for me to do the favor. Okay. Earlier this year, the Austin Society asked me to give a short talk on pickup. Besides following rule number one, they immediately offered to pick me up and drop me off after the speech. This shows that they value the favor and are willing to do what they can to minimize my inconvenience. When I arrived at my friend from the first paragraph's house, she had everything boxed and ready to go. She offered to load it all into my RV and then load it by herself. I helped her load and unload, but appreciated that she was trying to make it as easy as possible for me. Imagine if I had gotten there and had to wait around for hours as she boxed up her stuff. That's what helping me move usually means. Okay, so I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. So in so rule number two, if I would apply rule number two to the pick me up in Queens favor, then I would be in violation of the very second rule, because making it as easy as possible, I prob I don't know if how much easier can you make it other than I give you my address where I'm at. Actually no, I tried to make it easy as possible. I didn't violate, because instead of picking me up all the way from Long Island, I said I will take the LIRR back to Queens, Jamaica Center, and just get off at Jamaica Center, and I would hope that that person would be there. So no, I tried to do rule number two, and I still got told no. So now we're gonna move on to number three. Number three is ask immediately, don't small talk. If you're gonna ask for a favor, just ask. The worst is when someone makes small talk for 5 minutes and then says, "Oh, by the way, can you watch my dog while I'm out of town?" That feels like I'm being used. This one just happened to Todd, who reminded me of it. The same goes for doing preemptive favors in order to obligate. I was about to say oblige. In order to obligate someone. Here are some cookies I made you. Anyway, can I borrow your computer? Aha. Ha 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 ha. Okay. I'm not guilty of the making small talk before the favor, unless we haven't talked like in a long ass time. For instance, I recently reached out to one of my homegirls because I was looking to apply to some jobs and I needed a resume because she has the position that I'm looking to apply for. So I made small talk because I hadn't spoken to her in a while, but I realized that I hadn't spoken to her in a while and I really did want to talk to her first. But then it just so happens that, I happen to ask, like, oh, yeah, well, while we're talking about it, would you mind sending me your resume? And I immediately felt like shit. Like, immediately. Like, it, it, it was like I thought about the job, thought about her. Oh, shit, I didn't talk to her in a while. Spoke to her, brought up that she got a new job, and then I was like, oh, well, by the way, can you send your resume? Like, I just hated how that arc looked. And it made me feel like shit immediately because I'm like, damn, I wonder if she thinks that I only reached out to her just because I wanted, a copy of her resume. And so shit like that always, is in the back of my mind. But this preemptive, part about it, of like doing a preemptive favor, like, hey, I did this for you, so can you do this? That can be a little problematic because I'm the type of person that I don't care what nobody says. I expect you to remember the time I did something for you. I expect you to remember when I showed up for you. I expect you to remember that shit. Because me, I remember that shit. I remember the people who look out for me. I remember the people who do things for me, who help me, who support me. I remember all of that shit. I remember the people who don't. Do I treat one or the other differently? Maybe. I ain't perfect. God's still working on me. But I do realize, like, oh, if this person invites me somewhere and I go, I expect that if I invite them somewhere, they should come. I don't expect that every time I invite you, you say you busy or you didn't get the invite or you forgot or blah blah blah. Because when my ass gets flaky like that and I do shit, people make sure to remind me. I just never gone that extra mile to be like, well, you never show up to my blah 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 blah. I don't go that far, but I remember that shit, and so that preemptive part of it, that might take some working on, and I can admit that. So that's something to put on my self-improvement list. Rule number 4: do everything you can first. If someone has tried to solve a problem but can't, I'm happy to help them. If they haven't even tried, I'm annoyed. People email me asking for travel or pickup advice all the time. If they've bought my book first, I'm happy to answer their question. If they're asking me stuff that I've already taken the time to write down in the book, I'm offended. You're willing to take up my time, but not willing to pay me for my work. The most common manifestation I see of this is in airport rides. Taxis are ridiculous, as are shuttles. So I'm usually really happy to help pick up people from the airport. An hour of my time can save them a lot of money and hassle. In Austin, you can take a shuttle from the airport to downtown for 50 cents. Taking the shuttle and having me pick you up downtown saves me half an hour of driving or more. If someone wants me to pick them up from the airport but doesn't offer to take the shuttle, they're basically valuing my time at $1 an hour. Disrespectful. There's one person reading this who might take this the wrong way. That was a different set of circumstances, though. See, I'm glad I'm not the only person who wrote this. Who wrote this blog? Let me give them they. Damn, this blog was 11 years ago. Good grief. This is some old ass information that I'm just now finding. But you know what? I am appreciative of it. And I don't know who wrote this because I don't see a name. It just says powered by Set at the bottom. But I appreciate you for writing this because I feel you. I definitely feel you. Like I said, doing everything you can first. I did not violate that rule in my ask of being picked up in Queens. I did what I could do, and I got my ass from Long Island back into, the regular boroughs. And I was going to make it as easy as possible as far as like scheduling. Like I was going to let them know exactly what time I was going to get on the train, exactly what time, I was going to pull in so that they're not, out there idling or whatever the case may be. So I don't know why I got told no. Like I'm really confused about it. The more I read this, the more I get confused. And what's the last one? The last one is reciprocate. Don't be the person who asks for favors but never does them for others. It's old fashioned, but I always try to send people gifts or at least a thank you card if they do me a favor. If you stay at someone's house for a week, thus saving several $100s, the least you can do is have some small present shipped to them. The idea isn't necessarily to compensate them for their hospitality, but to rather show that you didn't take it for granted. I'm a huge believer in that too. Ask anybody. I am real quick to have stationery laying around that I could pull out, write a nice little cute card, a nice little cute note. Like for instance, shout out my homegirl, travels with Ty. Um, is that your Instagram girl, or is it Ty Travels? Whichever one it is, shout out to you, because that trip to Toronto that you organized for your birthday, mind you, and invited me last minute or nah, but the way that you were like so, understanding, you came and picked me up when I forgot my passport. You ain't even really cursed me out to drive all the way back to go get my passport. Like, I was so grateful for everything for that weekend. And so when we came back, not only did I have like a little birthday gift, that was cute to give her, I wrote a little nice handwritten card and made sure that before she left after dropping me home for doing everything that she's done, I had to say thank you. Same thing goes out for my homeboy, Jira Jones. You know, ever since I met him, random as hell, that man has been, a super help. When I needed photo shoots, when I needed photographers, when I needed all types of shit, he was right there to help me. Did not know me from a hole in the wall, literally. But because we vibe, because we was cool, and because we were just, real with each other and shit like that. Like, these are my goals and aspirations. These are my talents and, what I do and blah, blah, blah. And we kind of just went from there. And he's been a great help. So what did I do on his birthday? I had this cute little shirt, get him a little birthday card and all of that good stuff, and hand that to him just to say thank you for everything that he's done, because he didn't have to put me on to his photographers and all of that. He didn't have to put me on to all of his DJs and his people and this, that, and the third. He didn't have to do any of that. People don't have to do favors. They don't. Just like my friend didn't have to pick me up from Queens. But when you have somebody around you that does good things for you, that helps you out, that supports you and all of that, I don't see the harm in doing it, unless again it takes away from your convenience, your time, or whatever. And I use that very sparingly, because the same person in question with the, pickup, one thing I know about them is that they value their time very, very, very highly. Like, their time means the most, the absolute most to them. So yes, me asking for, well, it would have been more than an hour, because it's time to get there and then time to go back. But even still, the time it would have took for all of that, I don't feel like it would have costed that much. They did. And I gotta respect that. As mad as I may be, I gotta respect it. I just don't agree. And I'm entitled to not having to agree. I know my ass ended right the fuck back on that Q44 though. And I know that I went to curse them out, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to. Because it's not in my place to feel entitled to somebody else's time. Do I think I was worth the time? Absolutely. Do I feel like I should have been entitled to that time? No. So I guess when it comes to favors, this was a really, really good way to look at it. So just to kind of wrap it up, the 5 rules are: 1, your benefit must greatly outweigh their inconvenience. 2, you should make it as easy as possible for them to do the favor. 3, ask immediately, don't small talk. 4, do everything you can first before you ask. And 5, make sure you reciprocate. And so, with all of that being said, and even if you do all those 5 things, you still might get told no the next time you ask for a favor. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. However, I just want for these situations to go a little bit smoother in my own life, as well as the lives of others. But yeah. What's this other thing? Toxic friends give more. Matter of fact, no. Let me read this. 4 ways to identify fake friends who add no value to your life. Okay. So this was written April 3rd, 2015, by Fran Kalinsky on Elite Daily. Come on, you know you have them. Everyone does. Those people who only reach out and text or call you first when they need something. Any other time you speak to them, it's because you're making the first text or call. Half the time, they seem like they want nothing to do with you. They don't want to have any casual shoot the shit conversations or to flirt because that doesn't help them at all. They don't think about the fact that you just want somebody to talk to at the given moment. They can never come to offer help, blah, blah, blah. But if they need a favor, they know exactly who to help because you're such a good friend. Well, now here's the time to stop being so damn nice. These people don't deserve your help or friendship, let alone the privilege to even call you a friend or best friend if they're not helping you back when you need it most. Okay. So now let's see what they say. Here are some ways to identify who's there for you and who isn't. A real friend will help you back, no questions asked. Okay, well, if you need $2,000 or $20,000 by tomorrow, that's a little out of the question. But if you've been helping a so-called friend out for a while, a favor for you should be nothing to him or her. I got you, don't worry about it is the response you want to hear from a real good friend. Friendship is based on trust. So when you get a person that says he or she has got you, you should have enough trust in him or her to follow through not just one time, but almost every time you ask for a favor. Almost is the key word there. Okay, so that might be a little extreme. That's a little extreme. I don't know if you should immediately assume that your friend should say yes to every ask. But yeah, if it's somebody that, again, you constantly show up for, you constantly are there for, you constantly are like, like I said, like for me, answering my phone for you, and I guess not a lot of people know this, so let me put that out there. For me, answering my phone for you, if you can say that 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 or even 7 times out of 10, when I call her, she answers, I fucks with you. Because if only you knew how many motherfuckers get, what you call it, left in that missed calls list, whose messages don't even get opened or just ignored. If you knew, and that's not me being, braggadocious about it. It's just one of those things. Like, there's just certain people who I will always answer the phone for because of what they mean to me and because of who they are. So if you catch yourself being one of those people that no matter what, when you call, I answer, or at least at the very least call back or text back, then there should not be a question of whether or not I fucks with you. Now, if you got to worry about, oh, I ain't heard from this person and she don't answer when I call, then you have something to be concerned about. Then you have to be like, well, do she fuck with me? I don't know if she fuck with me. Blah, blah. Like, that's when you have to be concerned. But I digress. Always, almost is the key word. Blah, blah, blah. Also, don't get too addicted to asking people for help, lest you start to look exactly like one of the people I'm writing about in this article. So that leads into sign number 2. The needy ones always text when you least expect it. It's hard to avoid the fact that you get excited when you see a text from that one person you haven't heard from in a while. The conversation seems nice until he or she hits you with the question for a little pick-me-up. The person is probably popular and has many contacts at his or her disposal, so when something unimaginably unimaginable pops up, he or she has more options to ask for help. But still, he or she comes back to you because you're the nice one. Okay, so that's probably like if you ask the same person for favors over and over and over again. That's a little different. I definitely cap the amount of times that I ask motherfuckers for favors. Not only for my own, mental health, but because of that person as well. Because again, you never want to be deemed the person like, oh, every time this bitch calls, it's always something, or this bitch only calls me because they want something. Like, you never want people to feel like that. Or maybe you do. Some people don't give a fuck. Some people don't care about being a victim. That's a whole nother conversation about a whole nother person. But some people, don't mind being the victim. They don't mind always being the damsel in distress, or maybe what's the male word for damsel? The Dane in distress, dams. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But some people don't have a problem being the victim, and I've learned that, just in observing people and spending less time in my own little world bubble and spending more time viewing the world as a whole. And I realized that there are just groups of people who do not give a fuck how needy they come off to people, because it gets them what they want anyway. Somebody's always going to want to save them. You might roll your eyes, but somebody else is going to put that fucking cape on and they going to come and save the motherfucking day. Like, let that be all the way known. But yeah, I get that. Even though I have a couple of problems already and I'm only halfway through this, but we going to push through. Number 3 is your real friends know the needy ones just as well as you do. You probably have this conversation with more than one of your friends. Ugh, I hate people who only hit me up when they need something. Chances are your friends who aren't needy can relate too. The group of friends you keep says a lot about you. If you can rely on your friends, they can do the same for you. And when people see how well you all rely on each other, they think, wow, they can probably help me out too. Some people sadly feel entitled to help from everyone and will kiss your ass all they can to get what they need from you. Not only is it important to point these people out to yourself, but your good friends, who would hopefully do the same for you, are relying on you to help weed them out of their lives too. Okay, I think I might have messed that up, but I get the sentiment. Like, if you have somebody that you're always complaining about and you tell somebody as a friend, like every time that you got to help them and you tell a friend, it's probably like, yeah, girl, that person only ever wants to like fuck with you when they want something from you. But then that's also wrong too, because people will be haters and they will cut somebody else's supply off just so that their supply is ongoing. But again, that's about the same person that I'm leaving for another time. I'm going to put a pin in that one. And what's the last one so I can wrap this up? They will kiss up to you and make you feel bad just to get a favor. They will kiss up to you and make you feel bad. Okay, how you do both? The neediest of the needy will find ways to get what they want from you, whatever it takes. Why? Sometimes it's because they just don't give a shit about how you feel. You might think that they care about you when they say, "What's up, bestie?" or "My man." You know I can always count on you, right? But sometimes that's just their way of boosting your ego enough to help them with something they're too lazy or incompetent to do themselves. Ooh. Lazy is one thing, but incompetent? That's a little mean. If you don't help them, the true test will come into play. They'll hit you with the classic, "Oh, come on, really?" Or the classic, "After all I've done for you," even when they haven't done that much at all. Don't let these plays guilt trip you into doing something you don't want to do. This is your time to stand up and tell them no, and possibly face never talking to them again. But hey, if all you were in their life was something to do, then you weren't really friends and you don't need them anyway. Okay, so I don't really like the tone of this blog, but the overall gist of it, I get. This was definitely just we need something to write about, so let me write this real quick. The first one was more thought out and way more planned. This one was a little, whatever, but I get it. I get it. And then thinking about the first situation that I mentioned, perhaps that person felt like I was being the toxic friend. Perhaps. I'm just going to put that out there. Perhaps. I don't know what could have made that situation go better, but I know that that person was also dealing with a lot of other outside stress, so I might have just caught the brunt end of it. So that's why I kind of gave that whole situation an overall pass and didn't spaz on site, because it's like I already know, because of the talks and the conversations that me and that person had, I knew and had some inklings of other things that was going on, other things that was surrounding that particular situation. And so, I get it. Cool. But because we never came back around to having the conversation just yet, I do take that into consideration. One. And two, I never forced it either. Because I'm not the, "Oh, come on, after all I've done," I'm not that girl. So I wasn't going to go that far either. Time will let shit happen when it's supposed to happen. Full and firm believer in that. So I'm glad that I was able to read these. I'm glad that I was able to get these, perspectives. One that I agreed with and one not so much. But it made me look at things a little bit differently, especially with the way that I may ask for favors in the future. Like, I definitely want to keep this little checklist, the 5 rules of favor asking. I want to keep that as a reminder. So, in that sentiment, I'm gonna go wash out my conditioner out of my hair. And this has been another episode of BBPOV. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.